I'm gonna give you a little teacher cheat tip here that might serve you well for years to come. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy, the Handmade Homeschooler, and today I'm gonna give you guys a really good tip on what to do when you want to make sure that your kids are reading and comprehending their work, and how you can achieve that without actually reading everything that they're doing, like word for word in their textbooks. Make sure that if you haven't yet, that you hit the like and the subscribe button, and down below in the description box I have links to free curriculum, and I also have links to our favorite curriculum down there if you want to try it out. And there's also a Christian homeschooling group link down there that is my personal Facebook group that me and like 5,000 other homeschool parents are in if you need homeschooling help and tips. Okay, so it's no secret if you've seen the other videos on my channel lately that life has been insane at my house lately. Now, typically what I like to do in a perfect world, right? Like where nothing is wrong and we have no appointments and there's nothing going on in the whole week and we just have the whole week to do school at our leisurely, lovely pace, is I like to pre-read the chapters my kids are going to be reading. I typically take diligent notes, and I have bullet points, and I have anchor charts, and I have all of the things. And I know everything that's happening, and I either teach the lesson or they read it and we discuss together as a family. A lot of the subjects that we do, I like to call them independent study. Now, when I say that they're doing these subjects independently, I don't mean like I'm throwing them to the wolves and saying, you learn that subject and I'll give you the tests and, you know, we'll see how you do. That's not what I mean. I mean that they're reading the chapters on their own, and I'm not necessarily doing a ton of instructing, but what I am doing is after they're done reading their sections, we come together in the living room or discussion area, and me and his dad, my husband is retired, and my son will all three sit together, and we will have like an open discussion about that chapter, and I can do that because I already read it. So I know exactly what's going on there. And then I have usually like these notes, and I'll say, oh, well, what did you think of this section? Or can you tell me about this person? Or tell me about this event? And you know, history is a really good one to do this with, because I feel like there's just so many things that you can discuss. And with him being in American history from generations, there is just so much in this book, and it really gives you just this great breakdown of everything. And what I like to do is I like to also have him narrate back the chapter to me as well in Charlotte Mason's style, where basically he just kind of like retells what he read. Easy peasy. However, when life is crazy, I don't have time to pre-read the chapters. So what do? This is how I get through this. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys just a quick breakdown of several bullet points that will hopefully help you get through those crazy weeks when you don't have time to pre-read the chapters and do all of that, because let's be honest, it takes a lot of time. It really does, especially when you have kids in high school, because those chapters can get really long. Now, I'll show you what I do for textbooks, and then at the end, I'll give you some bonus tips for regular like novel type books, okay? So the first thing that I do is I skim the chapter myself, okay? And that's going to include me going through the pictures, the bullet points, and I'm not doing this super fast. I'm gonna take at least 5 minutes, and I'm going to go and skim the chapters. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm reading everything. However, this is what I am reading, which is bullet point number 2 here that I'm gonna give you. Read the headings. The headings are going to be super important in these textbooks, and the heading is going to give you an idea of things that are going to be happening in order. So even if you just read the headings in the chapter, you kind of have a good progression of where the chapter is going and where it's going to end. Also, read the first sentence in the paragraph and the last sentence of the paragraph, because that's going to tell you exactly what you just read in a very short form. Now, you're going to miss those detail points, but hey, we can't be perfect here, right? The next thing to do, grab their workbook, okay? And I'll show you what I got here. So let's just keep with the American history theme, right? So here's his American History from Generations. This is such a great book. And with the textbook, you get these workbooks that are like the teacher and student book in one. All right, so here's what I do. So let's just open it up. So I already have it marked to where we're gonna be at on Monday, because it's Saturday right now, it's the weekend, so I'm kind of already preparing for this. This is why it was on my mind. So I was like, this would be a great video. Okay, so at the beginning, you have the terms. So for each chapter, they get a worksheet like this, and they have terms like this. So they have the vocabulary already set up, and then you turn the page over and they have discussion questions, which is just so helpful for me, because you know what I do? I take those discussion questions and I look at them, I read the actual discussion questions, and then you go to the back of the book where the answers are, and you read the answers. Now the answers typically in the Generations book are really thorough, and that gives you a really great summary of the most important points that they need to remember for the tests that are going to be coming up. Okay, so here is a really simple way to do this. Read the vocabulary, and these vocabulary terms a lot of times are going to include people, places, and events. And that's going to be for history, but for science, they're going to be, you know, probably the main concept that they learned, you know? So, you know, it's going to be relative to each subject is what I'm saying. So for history, for this example, this is going to cover the people, places, and important events that just happened in the chapter that they read. So I can read these and have a good idea of not only what the chapter is talking about, but who it's talking about, what happened in that chapter, and the most important points that are going to be on the test. So we can sit down and have a conversation, and I can just have this in my lap, and I can go, oh, well, tell me about the Virginia plan. Tell me about the New Jersey plan. Can you tell me what happened with that? Can you tell me about the Bill of Rights? What does it say? What does it do? What's its purpose? You know, you get the idea. So that's a really great way to kind of sound like you know what you're talking about when you really haven't even read the chapter. One thing that I highly suggest doing is having your child narrate back the chapter. Now, when I say narrate, what I want you to think of is basically the Charlotte Mason form of narration, where your child is going to read a source text, and then they're going to sit with you and they are going to tell you back what they just read. So this is not going to be a like long thing, okay? It can be as long or short as you want it to be, of course. Typically, I tell my son, give me the summary of what you just read. Include the most important people, places, and events in what you just read. Now, when he's done with the narration, that's when me and his dad will sit down with his workbook, and we will have him have like an open discussion with us about those terms, the vocabulary, and the questions and answers in the book. And the great thing is even though I didn't actually read the chapter, which he doesn't know, the answers are in the back of the book. So I have the teacher book. You guys take advantage of your teacher books. Like, the teacher book is your right hand when you are teaching. That teacher book is meant for you to use in every way possible that you can think of. So don't just use it as something to just check answers. That answer book is a tool for you to use as a teacher, and that's exactly what we would do in a classroom setting as well. So teachers do this all the time. I used to do this all the time, because there's just sometimes you don't have, you know, all the time in the world, like what I'm going through right now with my youngest going back and forth to the hospital all the time. You just don't have all the time in the world to read, you know, 10 textbooks and several novels to keep up on everything. So use this as a tool to kind of go easy on yourself. Now, as far as novels, okay, so like right now, my youngest, I have the book, I don't know where he put it, I apologize. We're reading The Bronze Bow together for Teaching the Classics. Now, what I did, because Teaching the Classics, if you go onto their actual website, they have these packs that you can buy, and everything is all outlined and done there for you. It's fantastic. So they have the Socratic questions, and they already have them answered. So all I have to do is purchase, download, and print. It is a lifesaver right now. So what I'm having my son do is he's reading the chapter, but sometimes I don't have the time to read the chapter. So what I can do is I can skim those. I can skim the Socratic method questions, or here's another thing that you can do. If you are not doing Teaching the Classics and you guys are reading a book together and you just did not have time to look at it before you know, your child read a lot of books. I learned this in college when I was in college for teaching that there are websites like Cliff Notes and Spark Notes that you can either purchase or sometimes they're just there for free. And they are a chapter by chapter summary of everything that your child just read in that chapter. It's awesome. I did this for several books over the last year and it saved me a lot of time. Another thing that you can do is, especially if the book you're reading is in public domain, there are just hundreds of thousands of books on Audible and on YouTube. And sometimes these books are people just reading them out loud, like I'm sitting here. They would basically have the book like this and they're just reading it. And what you can do is just pop in your AirPods like I do and do your cleaning and stuff, and you can listen to an audiobook while they're doing that. So you can have it being read to you, so you don't have to sit down and like, you know, dedicate a whole half hour to just reading that chapter. You can have someone actually like read it to you. And I don't have an Audible subscription anymore because one of the things that we tried to do this year was cut out our subscriptions. So I'm learning different ways to kind of skirt around this. And a lot of times if the book is in public domain, you can find it on YouTube, or you can find an audio recording of it somewhere for free. And there are other apps too. I know that there are, but like I've had like 3 sips of my first cup of coffee today and I can't remember what it is. If you remember what it is, can you pop it down in the comments for me, please, so everybody else can see it? I've never used it before, but there are other Audible, like audiobook type subscriptions that you can get. Also, you can go to your public library, and I think a lot of public libraries now have audiobooks, and that's something that I've been working on doing. I just haven't done it yet, so. But there's some options for you for when you don't have time to read, because I don't have the time right now, guys. I just don't. So, but it's Saturday and I actually have the whole day. It's raining outside. It's the perfect day for me to go prep. So that is what I'm gonna do. I hope that this was a really good tip video for you. Let me know, how do you get around this? What are you doing as well? Are you doing this or are you doing something else? Because I need all the tips I can get right now too myself. All right guys, I hope that you have a great rest of your day and I will see you in the next video. And as always, happy homeschooling.